Yeah, Mark, I know you made cameo appearances on the Carton Show the first couple of years. So, like, why were you interested in becoming a full time member? And also, did you know Craig at all before that? Was there any? Did you know of him at all when he was a radio host in Denver? I don't remember what the years were when he was there and you were with the Broncos.
Yeah, no, I like I've known of Craig, but I did not know Craig. And I know he worked in Denver, but I did not know him. And so the very first time I sat on the set with Craig, and it was the Carton Show, um, we just kind of hit it off and goofed around and had a good time doing it. And I will say this, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Craig Carton. He has championed my cause for 2.5 years when they were talking to me about coming on and being part of Craig's show earlier, at the very first iteration of the show. Um, he has championed my cause to the bosses and everything else when my schedule wouldn't allow me to be here. And then when things finally opened up, I know he made multiple calls on my behalf to be a part of this thing, even when they were going or they thought or it looked like they were going in a different direction. So that part's been there. There's just been a strong natural connection, and there's been a strong natural chemistry between the three of us since the day we started. And there is plenty of ball busting that goes on. There's plenty of camaraderie. It is entertainment, but it's informative entertainment, and so it's just been a really good mixture from day one. Um, and it's been interesting because like Craig has hosted radio shows for decades. So has Danny for a decade. I've never hosted anything. And so, they put me in this role that I have zero clue on what I'm doing. And these guys have been really gracious to
And it
help me.
shows.
Yes, it does to help me along the way because I've got no, it's interesting. I just have no experience doing it, but I tell you what, with working with these two blowhards, it's been really easy because they just, all I got to do is, I don't even have to formulate a question. They just take it and roll. So it's been good. We've had a good time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
give Mark a note after every show. No one knows this, and the note is the same every day. And he'll tell you, it says, "You suck today, be better tomorrow."
Yeah.
So
We're waiting. We're waiting for that day. We're waiting for that day.
Well, don't hold your breath, Danny.
I
Because
won't.
it ain't coming anytime soon. I promise you that.
what was your comfort level, Mark, when you found out that you were going to kind of take the lead and be the one introducing topics?
I was scared to death because one, it's something I've never done. Two, to be completely transparent, I'm a dyslexic kid from Alaska that didn't learn to read till I was in the seventh grade. So initially, when they said I was getting on a plane to come do our first shows, and we were filling in a Colin Cowherd slot, and that's when they said, in passing by, I was talking to Zach, one of our coordinating producers. He goes, "Okay, when you bring the show in from break," and I was like, "Excuse me?" And he goes, "Yeah, when you bring the show in from break or you're throwing to break." I go, "Excuse me, what? What are we talking about?" He goes, "Yeah, you're hosting the show." And I was like, I'm what?" And they go, "They haven't told you?" I go, "No, nobody told me this. They hired me as an analyst." And so I had no idea. I'm getting on a plane, and my initial thought, like there was anxiety. My initial thought was, I can't do this. Um, it's still every day. That's a hard thing for me, especially when they give you a script and they're like, "Hey, get us through this promo." Like that, that is not what I've ever done.
well, hang on. Let's be honest. The initial reaction, because he already signed the contract, was, "You got to pay me more."
Yeah, that was another part. But like, you guys duped me. You got me. But yeah, it's been a really interesting transition, and it's Danny talked about active listening, and I've always tried to really be good at that as in my analyst role, listening to the other analysts and playing off whatever they had to say. Well, it's been harder for me because Danny's talking, and then the producer's in my ear going, "Okay, get us to this and ask Craig this and this," and so that becomes a little bit more challenging for me, having never been in that position. And I think it gets easier all the time. But Danny and Craig will both tell you I don't pay any attention to like who's playing where and like the history of the like I'm a football analyst. I love the X's and O's. I love to dig into it. Like I give a shit where you're playing. I just don't care what like any of that stuff. So that's been something that I've had to actually kind of pay attention to. I usually let Danny do that for me, but I've kind of tried to pay attention to it.
It cracks me up. Like, it'll be on a Friday, and I'll make a pick in a game, and I'll be like, and this team is coming off a bye and at home, and Stink will say to me, like, either on air often or off air, he'll be like, buddy, I didn't know that they came off a bye. I'm like, it's Friday. Like, how do you don't know the matchup? It's one thing to not know the next week's matchup on Monday or Tuesday. You don't know who's playing where on Friday. But in all seriousness, like, Stink being vulnerable about that and reading scripts on national television when he wasn't able to read until the 7th grade is like a tremendously inspirational thing. Like, that's it is a, like, obviously dyslexia is real, and there's a ton of people that deal with it, and there's a ton of people that are not able to confront it and overcome it in any way, not through any fault of their own. So for him to be able to do it and read scripts on national television, it's really impressive. And then sometimes when I look over the shoulder and see that word in the script, I'm like, ooh, the big fella's going to have some trouble with that one.